Join us on an epic adventure as we explore Moab's top 3 parks in just 3 days. From a breathtaking landscape of Arches National Park to the rugged terrain of Canyonlands National Park and the scenic beauty of Dead Horse Point State Park, we'll take you on a thrilling journey through Utah's outdoor playground. Get ready for some stunning vistas, exciting hikes, and unforgettable experiences. At the end of the video, we will provide essential expert tips for a smooth, stress-free trip. Hi y'all, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Becky.
And together we're a cruising good time.
Moab is a paradise for nature lovers. It has so many incredible vistas, colored rock formation, trails, etc. So many things to do. It can get confusing on how to do your trip, and you can get stressed if you try to do it all. So in this video, we're going to tell you about the activities, and we're going to tell you about the itineraries so you can have a stress-free trip. And no matter how experienced a hiker you are, we're going to give you all the information on how to plan a great trip. We're going to give you an overview of the 3 parks. We're going to tell you about the hikes we did. And most importantly, we are going to give you the absolute essential tips so you know everything you need to know to plan your trip. We met some folks who their trip was completely trashed because they missed an important thing from the National Park Services. So we're going to take care of you with all the data you need to know in this video.
So first, let's talk about the 3 parks that we went to in Utah. The first one was Arches National Park. Arches National Park is very iconic. It's got all these red rocks. It has over 2,000 natural stone arches in it. It has these giant balancing boulders on top of these spires. It is just the most unique place I've been to in my life, I think. Really close also to Moab is Canyonlands National Park. It's kind of divided into 3 areas. There's the Islands in the Sky. That's up in the northern part of the park. It's only about 40 minutes out of Moab. The Needles are south part. They're about an hour and a half drive. And then on the far western part, there's the Maze. That's accessible only by 4-wheel drive vehicles only. We went to the Islands in the Sky. The contrast between that and Arches was very dramatic. Arches is very arid, very desert, a lot of red rock. Canyonlands had quite a bit of vegetation, and the views were just spectacular.
And then we also went to Dead Horse State Park. Boy, and I can't say enough great things about this state park. So this one's amazing because I loved going up and you're looking down at the Colorado River, 2,000 feet below. You see all the amazing things that have been carved out. You see fens and buttes and just winding canyon walls. It is really beautiful. Now we're going to give you a high-level overview of our itinerary and the different hikes that we did. To have an efficient trip, we flew into Salt Lake City. We met up with friends and we drove to Moab. So we dropped off our bags at the hotel, grabbed a quick bite to eat. Then we went directly to Dead Horse Point State Park. Boy, this is a magnificent park. I really, really loved it. It reminded me of being at the Grand Canyon, but it is not of the grandeur and scale of the Grand Canyon. Right. But boy, the water and the wind have carved out such amazing beauty in all the cliffs. I loved seeing all the colors. The trails were very, very easy. It was kind of like training wheels to start off our hiking vacation.
So after that, we went next door to Canyonlands National Park. It's real easy to get to there. And the first thing we stopped at Canyonlands National Park was the Mesa Arch. It's a very famous photographed arch. It's beautiful. It's an easy hike just to walk right down there to see. And I got tickled there because they had signs, don't walk on the arch, for obvious reasons, but they didn't mention anything about the big cliff right there on the back side of the arch. So as you walk up to it, you realize you're right there on the edge of a cliff looking down, one of those beautiful canyon cliffs that you see all over the place in Canyonlands Park. Right after that, we wanted to challenge to go see the sunset from the Upheaval Dome Overlook, and we got in the car, drove down there, hiked up the hill to the Overlook, barely made it for sunset out there. Had a spectacular view, and you could see that upheaval down there, which is really a neat geological formation to see as well. I really enjoyed that. Part of the canyon up there too, spectacular views. One thing I do advise you about is the walk back after dark was a little more difficult. That trail is not very well marked compared to some of the other ones we were on. But talking about getting dark at the parks, all 3 parks we saw are all dark sky parks. So they're very good for stargazing. You go out there at nighttime, And it is unbelievable how many stars you see without all the city lights out there. And you forget there's that many stars in the sky. I really enjoyed that.
I loved it that we used our binoculars to do a little better stargazing. However, for some of these parks, they also have places where they will have a speaker, they have stuff set up, and they'll have telescopes from time to time. So that's another opportunity for you if you'd love to do some wonderful stargazing. On day 2, we went to Arches National Park. So we had an 8 a.m. reservation. We got in the car line. The line wasn't very long. Went through and we drove over to the Windows Trails. So the Windows Trails are pretty awesome. You can see 3 large arches, and a variety of other smaller ones from the trails. And most of them are pretty easy, but then they have a primitive portion where you can walk behind 2 of the big arches. So we did the primitive trail, which is a little hard to follow. We felt like it was almost trial and error, but kind of made things more fun.
Yep.
Made our way around, got some fabulous pictures. I thought this was really terrific.
That was a lot of fun, yeah. And I got to admit that we kind of got on this primitive trail a little bit by accident, but it's serendipitously great because we're on the east side of the rock formation, so we had beautiful views of the 2 arches right there with the sun coming up and lighting up all the rocks right there.
Then we walked over to Double Arches, which is a short walk from the Windows Trail.
Double Arches is probably my favorite arches in the entire park. I just thought that was really cool because you walk up to it and you can see some arches you're walking up to it. It's not a long walk, quarter, half mile one way. And you could see that there's an arch, but when you get right up there on it, then you see there's 2 arches right next to each other in there. And to me, that was just really fun to look at. I really liked how beautiful that was.
And when we arrived, it was very easy to park. But like the later we were there, the more the parking lots were filled up. Expert recommendation is if the parking is full at Windows, just drive over to the Double Arch and park over there.
As we're driving out of Windows, we stopped by Balanced Rock. This is another very famous formation in there. It's this huge rock that is eroded down. It's on a spire. That's another easy hiking trail, maybe a half mile total. You can just kind of walk around it, take in all the beauty right there around that rock formation as well.
And one of the big recommendations we have is when you drive through the park, every time there's an overlook, stop, just go in and soak up that beauty. It's just so amazing.
There is a lot to see in that park. Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the most famous arches in the park is Delicate Arch. As our friends pointed out, it is the one on the Utah license plate. So there's 3 different places where you can see Delicate Arch. We were getting a little peckish, so we headed up to the Delicate Arch Viewpoint, and there's a picnic area there. We stopped, we had some lunch, and then we started the hike. Yep. So first we hiked to the lower viewpoint, saw some nice images of Delicate Arch from a distance. Then we walked up a considerable height to the higher viewpoint, got a little closer to Delicate Arch.
The upper Delicate Arch viewpoint was really kind of fun. You can kind of zigzag up a little hill right there. And you also got some good views of that valley.
It was truly beautiful, but I have to say, in retrospect, after doing the real Delicate Arch trail, I think I wouldn't have done these 2, and I'd have used my time somewhere else.
Yeah, it's kind of a give or take right there, right? Because these are a lot easier trails, as we'll talk about in a minute, to get to Delicate Arch. But so you can see it quite easily. In the lower one, you could see very easily. There's no elevation change, and it's all paved to get out there to see it. But you're right. Do you burn the time and the energy to do that just to see it from afar, or do you go up and see it up closer? We did it on 2 different days, and I think at the end of the day, I'm very happy with that. After we did the Delicate Arch views, we got in a car, drove up to Firey Furnace Viewpoint, took in that viewpoint as well. That's another spectacular rock formation. We didn't hike it. It's a difficult hike. It's a little bit out of our league, but if you're a good hiker, it looks like a very impressive hike to go do. We got tickled because there's a lot of ravens in the parking lot. So we had to get some pictures of the ravens and kind of watch them. And they're playing in the wind that day. It was just kind of a fun thing to watch with them doing all that. Then we drove further up into the Devil's Garden, which is at the end of the road. And that was really nice too. There were a lot of rock formations. We didn't do any hiking that day. Just kind of got out, looked around a little bit, discovered there's some good picnic spots up there. After we left Devil's Garden, then we drove back out of the park. We're going back into town there. And we saw another nice formation right there that's really unique called the Three Gossips. And you get out to that viewpoint, look at that, and it's a balanced rock formation that looks like three people talking if you kind of use your imagination. It's kind of neat to look at, take that in. Very, very tall.
We really loved the area where the Three Gossips were, and we stopped at several different places to take it all in. The rocks all around them are just spectacular.
And then as we're leaving the park, we noticed that the line to get in the park at about 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon was quite long. In fact, it went past the 1 hour wait time marker that they had on the entrance to the park. So get there early, and we'll talk about that a little bit in our tips and tricks in a minute.
Then we went to dinner, back to the hotel, and had some hot tub time.
And my legs liked the hot tub that night because we'd done a lot of hiking.
On day 3, we had an 8 a.m. reservation at Arches National Park, and we drove to the Delicate Arch and Wolfe Ranch trailhead. Mm-hmm. And very close to the parking lot, you get to see some petroglyph, and you get to see some old ranch houses. This was a very cool part of the trip. Then you start your hike. So the first of it's kind of normal, and then you get to where you're just hiking on large rocks. Things aren't so marked, but they are just so gorgeous. This is a really fun hike. I loved this.
It was a lot of fun, and you're right. It wasn't marked super well, but there's so many people on it that you just kind of follow the next guy and go up the hill there with it. But it was a lot of fun on that hike, and very, very scenic. I found it because you go through several different terrains like you're talking about, with the giant rock you're walking on, and then you kind of go through some forest area and a little wash right there, and then finally another rock, and then finally you get up there to what I think was your favorite part, which was the cliff walk up there right at the very top.
Yeah, toward the end of the walk, you get to walk on the side of a cliff on a narrow trail. So this isn't necessarily for the faint of heart, but it's only about 200 feet.
Yep.
Then you curve around the edge of the cliff, and you can see that amazing arch.
That makes it all worthwhile right there because you're on that narrow path, and then you come around that corner right there, and there's Delicate Arch, and it is just absolutely stunning. It is truly probably the prettiest arch in the park, and I just really liked it. We just sat there on a couple rocks right there and kind of took it in, caught our breath, obviously, drank a lot of water. So as you're looking at it, you look down right there, and then between you and the arch from the viewing point, there's a big hole. It goes down several hundred feet or so, but you could walk around it over to get to the arch. So it was a lot of fun to kind of take in there and all that. People were scooting all over the place on that. And what I liked about it was everybody's really courteous about getting the pictures, right? Because the line formed to get the pictures by the arch out of the frame where most people are taking it, and people would go there by individual or by family, get the picture. So it's kind of a unwritten creed right there to kind of stay out of everybody's pictures and kind of get that going.
So that is one of the expert tips. To be courteous, if you're in front of that line, be far enough away from the arch so people across the way can still get good views without having extra people in it.
Yep.
So I would say about this hike, I would not be comfortable doing it in high winds, or if it's been raining or snowing, or if there's just too many other people on the park. I'm kind of nervous on that 200 feet where you've got the narrow trail that's both ways.
Well, I think the wind thing's very real because of day 2 when we're there at the park is very windy because a cold front just came through. And we talked to people that did that Delicate Arch trail, and that part was just rock. They said it was pushing them around quite a bit. When we went up there the next day, the wind had subsided a lot. Very pleasant walk up there, not too hot. Take a lot of water when you go up to the Delicate Arch, though.
And be sure to wear shoes that have really good traction.
When we left Delicate Arch, we decided we were going to have the picnic up in Devil's Garden like we talked about a while ago. And along the way, we stopped and saw a couple more arches. The first one we saw was a Skyline Arch, and aptly named because it's an archway at the top of one of the formations. It's easy to see from the road, but they have a little pull-out. You can get in there and take a little 5-minute walk, go get a little bit closer look to it. And that's kind of neat as well. But the one that was kind of surprising for me was one called Sand Dune Arch, and you pull out right there as well. It's got a little trailhead. It's not a 5-minute walk. You go in between a couple of the fins. It's kind of fun. And then suddenly there's a clearing. Voila. There's a real iconic arch right there. You've seen a lot of pictures of this arch as well. It's in the sand, and a lot of fun to kind of take in that way as well.
Yeah, and this was really fun because this is one that if you want to scramble up some rocks and do some other things, this was a very nice area to do so.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And we could see Broken Arch off in a distance. We didn't make that hike that day because, well, we were hungry. We wanted to go eat some at the picnic site. And so we got in the car, drove up by the Devil's Garden, and stopped at one of those picnic sites. It was a lot of fun. It was in the shade, had a good time, and just kind of sit down there and chilled out for a little bit.
Then we drove over to Devil's Garden and to prepare for hike. So there's quite a few different hikes you can do here and different arches and trails you can see. So we went to go see Landscape Arch. Mm-hmm. Now this is the widest arch in the park, and it's a fairly easy, fun hike that we did over to Landscape Arch.
It's so iconic, and you've seen a ton of pictures of this one as well, and it's huge. It just goes on forever when you finally get back here into it. Becky said the elevation change isn't too bad at all. You get into it. Now, right past that arch, it branches off, and it goes into the Devil's Garden hike, which the park people will tell you is the most difficult hike in the park. We got some videos, some people going up the hill here. It is quite treacherous to get on up there, and then after that, they had to walk a little area that's only about 3 or 4 feet wide, a couple hundred feet drop on either side of it. So I felt that was a little bit out of my comfort level for walking and hiking on there. A lot of people sure-footed went out there and did it. We talked to them on the trailhead coming back in. They seemed to really like that hike, and it's very, very scenic.
Well, I also talked to some people who bailed on the hike.
Yes, there are some of those too as well.
And, there's some other great arches to see. So then next, we went over and we hiked over to Tunnel Arch. Mm-hmm. And then we hiked to Pine Tree Arch. Mm-hmm. I loved Pine Tree Arch. I thought it was really beautiful. And unlike other arches, you could easily walk through it, get pictures from the other side. I thought it was scenic and tranquil and just gorgeous. And the perfect way to end our visit at Arches National Park.
It was a lovely arch. I really enjoyed that arch. And it's another one of those, you're kind of walking on a trail, and you seem to be in between a couple of rocks, and then suddenly there's an arch. And it was just a lot of fun to kind of take that in as well.
As promised, we're going to talk about those essential tips. So the first one is one of those things precious to life, water.
Yep.
Always carry water with you on all times. It is recommended that you drink at least 1 gallon per person per day while at Moab. And there are very few places to fill up your water bottle at the national parks. So at Arches, you can only fill up water bottle at the visitor center, which is right where you enter the park, and at the end of the park over there by Devil's Garden. So it's very important you bring the water in. And for Canyonland, they recommend you bring anything you need with you. So you're going to need to make sure you bring plenty of water and be sure to drink it and have it with you during your hikes.
Second to that is food. So there's not any places to buy food at these parks, or you're out in the country, out in the wilderness there. So take whatever food you need. We took stuff to picnic with. We took some stuff to make sandwiches. So we made sandwiches out there, or made sandwiches in a hotel, took them out there. We did it both ways. Had some chips, had some trail mix, took some fruit, stuff like that. But stay hydrated and make sure you do stop and eat every once in a while to keep that energy up. The sun beats down on you. You're in the high desert, so you're losing water very fast due to the elevation and then just to the low humidity. So stay ahead of that because it'll catch up on you in a hurry.
Since the food that we brought required refrigeration, we chose to stay in a hotel that had a refrigerator in the room.
That just let us stay right there in Moab. We stayed at the Element Hotel in Moab. Moab has a ton of hotels in it right there. I was really surprised there's that many of them. I think every hotel chain has at least 1 or 2 hotels there in town and a couple independent operators. There's a few campground sites at all the national parks as well. So, and we like to stay right there in town so we can support the local economy and eat at the local restaurants. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a good vibe at every place we went. It's a lot of fun.
Next, let's talk about water closets or toilets. So there's very little running water in the national park, so be prepared you're using pit toilets. We recommend that you prepare for this. Go ahead and take with you some hand sanitizer and maybe toilet paper in case you need it. And I like to have some wet wipes to use also. Of course, you will not be throwing those away in the toilets at the national park.
So another thing to keep in mind is cell phone service. You're not going to have any cell phone service out there. You're very much in the wilderness. We were only able to get cell phone service by the visitor center, and in the case of Arches, out there by the Devil's Garden. Those are the only places where we really had any cell phone service.
Next, let's talk about entrance fees. Now, to get in the state park, it's only $20. To get in the national park, boy, there's a lot of options. So for the national parks, you can get a standard pass, an annual pass, or America the Beautiful pass. So look through all the options to see what works for you economically. And be sure to look to see if you are available to get some discounts. What's interesting here is for the annual pass, it does work for these two national parks, so that one is pretty handy. And the America the Beautiful pass is a lifetime pass, and with a lot of the different discounts, this could be an awesome option to go ahead and get this lifetime pass.
A key point to get in with Arches is you have to have a timed reservation to get into the park. So you have to make this reservation at least a day before, and you can make it several weeks in advance as well if you need to. And that time will give you a time to go into park. You have 1 hour from that window to get in. So if you have an 8 a.m. time, then you have till 9 a.m. to get in through that window. If you miss your time, you're going to be in an overflow crowd later on, or if you don't have a reservation at all, you'll be with the overflow crowd at the end of the day. You may miss out on a lot of the park.
And we recommend that you get these reservations as early as possible because these times will fill up.
And along with the timing is we recommend getting in there early in the day so you have the whole day to see the park. We made our reservations early in the morning. We got in at 8. We didn't have to deal with much of a line at all, and we were able to see all the park we wanted to see. We're exhausted by the time we left the park in the late afternoon.
And the line to the park just got longer and longer as the day went on. Where we waited 10 minutes, we saw people coming in at 3 p.m. to enter the park had to wait over an hour to get in. So having the early reservations also awesome because you're not having to wait to get in the park as long. So the next limited resource is going to be parking spaces at popular things such as Devil's Garden, Delicate Arches and Wolfe Ranch, and the Windows. Especially at the first two of these locations, they're very popular and the parking spaces will fill up.
Absolutely.
So if you come into the park early, go directly and purposefully to these busy locations and get that parking spot.
Another thing to keep in mind is the weather. So you're in the high desert of Utah, and so in the summertime, it can be quite warm. It'll get over 100 degrees several days of the year, and in the wintertime, it'll be down around freezing. We were there at shoulder season in April. It was really pretty pleasant. We had one morning when it was freezing, but then it warmed up into the middle 60s by the late in the day. And the other 2 days we were there, it was low in the 40s and highs in the upper 70s. Dress in layers because you'll be chilly in the morning, but as you get on those hikes and get out in the sunlight, you'll be shedding those layers pretty quickly because it will get hot pretty fast.
We provided this temperature graph of weathers at Moab throughout the year, and this is from WeatherSpark, and we're going to provide a link to that in the description below. The key thing to cover is just things to do at Moab. If you are an adrenaline junkie, this is the place for you. You have every type of four-wheel drive imaginable.
Yep.
You can drive it on your own. You can go on giant trucks other people drive. There is so much to do there.
Yes.
We were talking to somebody, and he does base jumping. Now, that sounded pretty exciting to me.
Yeah, just go jump off a cliff with a parachute. I'm kind of out on that one.
There also was skydiving, zip lining, rafting, and the Moab rope swing, which you should Google even if you don't plan to do it.
Hey, have you been to Moab and done any of these things in the parks? Please leave us a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are, what you enjoyed doing, or what you may recommend doing as well. We always like to hear back from all our viewers, and we'd really like to hear from you on this one.
We hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful.
If you liked the video, please give us a like and subscribe and turn on those notifications. It really helps us out.
Until next time, have a cruising good time.